Hi, my name is Daniel and welcome to the Message Today, episode 8. The topic we are looking at today is disappointment. This week we have a special guest and rapper Nick Shalavi from Vital Signs and music from LZ7 and Andy from Amongst Wolves will be sharing his story.
As usual, if you have any questions from this session, why don't you write them down and talk in your group afterwards? If you're personally struggling with anything that we talk about, please do think of an adult that you trust that you can talk to as soon as possible. This might be a parent, a guardian, a youth leader, or a member of staff at your school.
Albert Einstein failed his college entrance exam. Walt Disney was fired from his first media job. Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. These well-known and famous names all experienced disappointment in life, but still went on to succeed in life.
Helen Keller once said, "We would never learn to be brave and patient if there were only joy in the world." Life doesn't always go the way we want it to go. But today, let's see how we can learn from our disappointments and grow into being stronger and wiser individuals.
Your biopsy came back showing signs of large cell non-Hodgkin's lymphoma.
It's a form of cancer.
Life is going.
At some point, everything's gonna go south on you. Everything's gonna go south, and you're gonna say, this is it. This is how I end.
We all get hit on the blind side by life.
A lot of things are going to happen that will catch you off guard. You can lose your family. You can lose your job. Lose your home, lose your car. They can say you can't come back. But during those down moments, that's where the growth takes place.
We all have hopes, dreams and ambitions, but sometimes we don't get picked for the team or given a part in the play. An accident happens, a relationship breaks down, or we get ill. Have you ever been disappointed? Let's see what our students had to say.
I guess I was disappointed when I didn't do as well as I thought I would in French. Yeah, it's not like I'm going to use French ever, so it doesn't really make much of a difference.
Is it bad to say that I've been disappointed so many times and just say like, oh, okay, that's happening again, we move? I mean, they weren't huge disappointments, but I can't think of any huge disappointments.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely been disappointed many times. The first thing that kind of comes to mind is being disappointed in myself. I would say at school, I was like such a perfectionist, like to an unhealthy level. And if ever I did something that was kind of subpar or, you know, didn't get that grade I wanted or missed out on it by a mark, I'd be so hard on myself and be really disappointed. And yeah, it just used to it really used to affect me mentally.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with my mock GCSE results and I was scared after it. I was super scared because I didn't know if I was going to pass my GCSEs after that. But I put in the work and to this day I've passed. I did everything and now I'm into college.
Thanks, guys. Up next is our special guest, and this week we want to introduce to you to our good friend Nick Shalavi from Vital Signs.
One way, one path for the one way.
Yes, what's going on? I am Newbury from Vital Signs. Vital Signs is based in Manchester, and we go into prisons, we share our story, we do workshops, we work with pupils that get excluded from certain schools and then have to go to pupil referral units. And part of what I do, you know, we do a lot of gigs, do a lot of teaching, do a lot of performing, do loads of different things. If I'm honest with you, just go check out the videos online if you want. So today, I want to chat to you briefly about disappointment. And the definition of disappointment, according to the dictionary, is this. It says, to be disappointed means sadness or displeasure caused by the non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. It's funny that, isn't it? Non-fulfillment of one's hopes or expectations. And I think we can go through that like every day, if I'm honest, innit? And sometimes I do, actually. Not as much anymore. Because we've all got hopes, we've all got expectations, and especially when it comes to other people. Whether you're in a marriage, whether you're in a friendship, we have these expectations we put on other people, and when they let us down, it crushes us sometimes. And I think with me, I used to place all these expectations on people, especially like bigger brother type figures or father-like figures. And when they didn't fulfill my expectations as that bigger brother mentor role or something like that, or a dad, it would break me a bit. And I was thinking, wow, what's going on here? And then I'll be honest with you, what shifted was my hope system. So you've got disappointment here and you've got hope here. And then I started to learn from God. In the Bible, it says to put your trust in Him. Doesn't mean you don't trust people, but really what helped me was trusting God here over people when it comes to what you expect. Because I don't believe for a second God will let me down. It might look like it, but deep down I don't believe it. And I'll tell you why. It's because when I was 17, when man wasn't there to save me, He was. So through the storms of life that happen and the things that don't make sense, I trust Him over men. But then I started to fray left and right and think, oh, this guy's amazing, he might be able to share this wisdom. You know something? Yeah, they might be. But I'll let people down the same way they'll let me down. So here it is, man. If you're going through disappointment and constant exhaustion from feeling let down, I believe there's hope for you. The same way I found that there was hope for me. Do you know what I'm saying? And I believe that there's massive hope with God. So if you want to hear more from me, go check out New Breed TV on YouTube, check out the socials, Instagram, check out the videos we've got online. Appreciate your time listening today.
One path, brother, one way.
Disappointment is directly linked to our expectations, and when our expectations and the outcome do not match, we can become disappointed. The occasional disappointment doesn't normally trigger anger. However, the unwillingness to accept the reality that you did not get what you expected is what can trigger anger. Most people feel angry at some time or another, but if it's affecting your life or others around you, then do get some support by speaking to an adult that you trust ASAP.
On the flip side, even when we do get what we want and we think we deserve it, we may discover that what we wanted so badly doesn't even bring the expected buzz or happiness that we expected. Have you ever really wanted something, and when it arrived or happened, you were disappointed because it wasn't as great as you anticipated it to be? This usually happens with food that I've ordered. But it's also happened in relationships when I've been let down again and again.
The way we handle disappointments is related to our developmental history, our relationship with our parents and other early formative experiences. Some people seek to avoid disappointment by turning into underachievers. They unconsciously set the bar low and avoid taking risks to prevent themselves or others from being disappointed. Like Emma with her food, if she always orders the same safe burger, she'll never get to experience jerk chicken. See, such behavior turns into a form of self-preservation. However, it can also lead to a mediocre and unfulfilled life with no adventure or excitement.
I may play it safe with food, but I definitely don't want to live a safe, mediocre life. I want to live life in all its fullness, do you? Sometimes that might mean taking risks or having some knocks, but it'll be worth it for the highs.
I don't know about you, but one major thing that disappointed me in 2020 was the cancelling of loads of live events. I missed out on tons of gigs and my favourite festival got cancelled. Due to the COVID pandemic, The Sun reported that other events cancelled included Glastonbury, the Chelsea Flower Show. Climate change activists missed out on the Extinction Rebellion mass action protest, and people in Belfast will have been gutted because St Patrick's Day got cancelled. What were you disappointed about getting cancelled?
I absolutely love a good holiday. There were 58.7 million holidays overseas by UK residents in 2019. I guess that number was dramatically smaller this year. I had 3 holidays cancelled due to COVID, including 2 weeks in Mexico, which is gutting, especially as one of them wouldn't give me my money back. I'm sure loads of you were disappointed this year too by holiday cancellations and new travel restrictions that have been put in place.
CNN reported that only 46% of UK residents think that the government have done a good job of handling the pandemic, with 54% being disappointed in how things have been handled. I live in Manchester and it appears that Andy Burnham's fought really hard to look after us up here. How do you feel about the way your local leaders have handled things?
As humans, we all know we make mistakes, and many celebrities apologise for disappointing their fans when they make mistakes, including Ariana Grande. She apologised after being caught licking a donut on display in an LA donut shop.
In an article for Psychology Today, clinical psychologist Mary C. Lamia said, "Disappointment is the experience of sadness involving unfulfilled hopes or expectations. When you consider what might have been in contrast to what exists in the present, you may experience disappointment." She stated that she has found that people avoid disappointment far more than many other emotional experiences. Disappointment comes with finality, the recognition that you don't have, didn't get, or will never achieve whatever it is that you wanted.
Unfortunately, the pandemic has been hitting people's finances pretty hard, with lots of people disappointed at finding themselves out of work. Before lockdown, the Trussell Trust had dispensed 1,009,122 food parcels to people in the UK between April 2019 and March 2020. 39% of those referrals had been due to people with low income. Here at the Message Trust in Manchester, we set up a community grocery to help our local area. If your family is struggling, make sure you're getting help from your local charities and services.
Feeling disappointed is just a part of life. We get disappointed for many reasons, but most of all when things don't go the way we expect them to. Have you ever thought that there can be positives in disappointments? Believe it or not, they do exist.
Number 1, disappointment means you have passion. For example, you might get disappointed with a friend letting you down. Why? Because you care about the friendship. Martin Luther King Jr. said this: "There can be no deep disappointment where there is not deep love." If you've experienced this before, why don't you talk to your friend about the situation? Tell them why you got hurt and try and resolve it today.
Number 2, disappointment means an opportunity for growth. By using disappointment to understand more about the world and correct your assumptions, you become wiser, more knowledgeable. You can also learn from any mistakes made and correct your actions to better achieve your goals and live out your dreams.
Finally, number 3, disappointment makes you stronger. You may have heard the Kelly Clarkson song, "Whatever doesn't kill you makes you stronger." When you go through a harsh emotion like disappointment, you become tougher. You learn to process and work through your emotions. You become more resilient to life's hardships.
So, how do you overcome disappointments? We asked our students this very same question, and this was their response.
I don't know, just stepping back and looking at the bigger picture. Like, I wasn't too happy with my French at the time, but then I did well in all my other subjects. I was happy with them. So in the grand scheme of it, it didn't really make a difference. So I think just looking at the bigger picture.
I think I overcome disappointments by just... It depends what the disappointment is, to be honest. If it's a disappointment, like maybe someone said they were going to do something for me and I was counting on them to do something and they didn't do it, I don't know, I probably wouldn't ask them to do it again next time. I'd try and find someone else to do it.
I think instead of like getting upset about it, and wasting all that time just to put in the effort to make sure that next time it doesn't happen and to make sure that it never happens again, so you don't have to face that disappointment.
If you're disappointed in yourself, like if you've done it to yourself, then change it. And if you can't, learn from it. Whatever you've done wrong, don't do it again the next time.
I think just kind of having that healthy attitude that things are gonna go wrong in life. You can't just have a perfect life with zero disappointments. That would just be unhuman and unnatural. But to kind of from that, then see it as an opportunity to, first of all, forgive people if someone's let you down. Like people are going to make mistakes, but yeah, I feel like you should forgive people. But also maybe from yourself, just, you know, get up, try again. Like it's going to happen in life. You're going to be disappointed, but that shouldn't be a reason to stop.
Research tells us the best way to deal with feelings of disappointment is to acknowledge the pain and discomfort that you're feeling and give yourself time to heal and fully process your emotions.
IQ Matrix suggests that immediately after disappointments, you should work out how to calm yourself down. Maybe start by taking a deep breath and breathe out slowly. Once you're in a more relaxed and calmer state of mind, you can begin thinking about things differently.
If calming yourself doesn't work immediately, maybe try distracting yourself. Maybe by listening to music, check out a movie, have a chat with someone, or reading a book. But it's really important that you understand that the feeling of disappointment should only be a temporary condition.
Once you are over the initial feeling of disappointment, acknowledge how you felt about the situation, then question your expectations. Then you can learn from your experience in order to modify or change your expectations in future situations.
Finally, remember, don't demand perfection from yourself or others. The reality is that no matter how hard we try, we will never be perfect, and neither will the people around us. It's because we're human and perfection is not part of our nature.
Edmund Mbayaka, who's a self-help writer from New York, said this: "Life is not always a celebration, so be ready to courageously face disappointments when they come, and be sure to grow stronger and wiser for them."
Thanks, Lauren. I totally agree. Up next is My Story, the part in the program where we hear someone's personal experience. Today, we have Andy from Amongst Wolves.
Welcome. So I was 12 years old, and my family and a bunch of our friends, we all decided for a week we would go trekking in the Highlands of Scotland, from Ben Nevis to Inverness, a trek called the Great Glen Way. Now, throughout that week, we started trekking. It's about 75 to 80 miles. And we started trekking on day one, and I was really struggling. I was really finding it hard to keep up with the rest of the group, which was never the case before because I was always super fit when I was younger. And I was constantly drinking water and constantly then having to pee and just constantly ill for the whole week. And my mum and my dad had no idea what to do with it. So we get back, we finish the trek. I did some of it in the car journey because I just couldn't actually walk any further. And my mum says, right, we've got to take you to the doctor because something's up. We get to the doctor and he does a few tests, and straight away he says, right, Carolyn, that's my mum's name, says, you're not going into work tomorrow. Andy, you are going to the hospital. And that was it. That was it. All I knew as soon as I left that surgery. I thought, what is going on? So we go to the hospital the next day. They do a few more tests and we sit me down and we say, right, you've got type 1 diabetes. And that was a huge bombshell for me in that moment. I had no idea what that meant. I had no idea what would happen to me, if it was dangerous, if it was simple, if it was scary. And I was really worried about my life and my future and how all of my plans and things would be affected from this point on. And if anything, if I could describe it in a word, I was really disappointed. Not in myself or anything, but I was disappointed in two things. I was disappointed, one, with who I believed God to be at the time, and I was disappointed, two, with the plans I had for my life because I didn't know if they would ever go ahead. Now, thankfully, diabetes is a very, very manageable disease. It's not life-threatening if you look after it. So as I've learned to grow up and adapt, I've changed a lot of my lifestyle, but it's very easy to maintain and manage. But actually the hardest thing that I had to grasp was my idea of who God is, because my parents introduced me to the idea of who God is, but I didn't ever study it, so I just had what I thought of God myself. I had what the world would feed me who God is, and the world says God's good, so nothing bad can ever happen if you believe in him. And I was disappointed with that because that's not actually who God is. See, Jesus in the Bible promises that actually in this life it's going to be difficult, it's going to be hard, we're going to face disappointment, but what do we do about that? And he offers us a relationship with God who created us and designed us, and he says, would you rather do it with him or without him? And I didn't know that at the time, so I was so hurt and so broken and didn't know what to do. But actually, the God I've just been talking about, he journeyed it all with me. He took it step by step, one day at a time, and I've learned so much about myself, about him and his goodness and his grace and his mercy that he has for me every single day. And I've learned how to look after myself with his help. And that was the most amazing and life-changing experience of my life. So you might be struggling with disappointment yourself, whether that's your exam results or you didn't get the subjects you wanted to take, or maybe even you've got illnesses of your own that you're battling, but that's okay, you're not alone. Make sure you reach out to someone for help with your disappointment. But first of all, I want to say, more importantly than any of that, I believe there's a plan and a purpose for your life. And together with other people, we can journey through the pain, through the disappointment, to the potential and plan that we were made for originally. Remember, there is always hope. My name is Andy Wells, and this is my story.
We all experience disappointments at some time or another. Romans 5 in the Bible says that suffering produces perseverance, perseverance character, and character hope. Wow, I'm so glad that there is hope in all situations. Even in the midst of disappointment, there is hope. And maybe you needed to hear that today. There is hope for you too.
As we said in the beginning, if you have any questions from this session, why don't you talk about it in your groups afterwards? Also, if your teacher or leader would like to extend this session, you can now access the questions that accompany this episode by following the link in the description on YouTube.
If you are personally struggling with any of the content, please do think of an adult you can trust that you can talk to ASAP. Don't wait. There are many great websites and charities that we can signpost you to that can inform and support you moving forward. So why don't you check out some of these and start off with COOF, Young Minds, Childline, the Lily Joe Project, and The Mix.
Don't forget, many of the bands that you see on the message today are releasing new content on their socials every single week. Every Friday night, all the Message Trust bands get together for one massive show called Higher Live. The band's YouTube channels are on the screen, so why don't you check them out this week?
Sadly, it's the end of today's episode, but we're going to leave you with some good music from our good friends LZ7. This is their song, Home. See you next week.
Cause home is where the heart is. Now I'm with you. And home is where the heart lives. Such a beautiful view. I've been through the fire. I've been through the rain. I'm a freak, one flyer, wanting to land again. I've been around the world. You find me here. You put my feet on solid ground. I love your atmosphere. Cause home is where the heart is. Now I'm with you. And home is where the heart lives. Such a beautiful view. And home is where the heart is. Now I'm with you. And home is where the heart lives. Such a beautiful view. where the heart lives.